Good evening, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. It's great to be back. It's great to be back, and we're talking about league business. Yes, league business this evening. We're going to be talking about a few other things also. Let me just get this fire stick sorted out. I want to put it on this. History. And then we'll say good evening, everyone, in the chat, as we always do at the beginning of the videos. And then there are some games on tonight in English leagues. And then tonight we're going to talk about obviously Lewis Palma. We're going to talk about the officials for the weekend. This weekend we're going to talk about some Celtic players now that we know the squad, and also we're going to speak about the news that came out this evening that St Johnstone are going to reduce the allocation to Celtic fans once again. And we'll talk a little bit about that because I think it's something that we have spoke about regularly, and I think it is worse for the game. To be perfectly honest, I don't think it's good for the game at all. If they're not going to sell it, their statement. I'll read the statement and then we can discuss what we think is good or not so good about the fact that they are reducing the allocation at another ground. Anyway, let's jump into the comments before we do anything more. Hazel was first in, said evening all. Sam Cairns was don't want that. Why is it not showing me? There we go. Tom Cairns was in. Tom Cairns, good evening to the Celtic family. Paul is in next. Hail to the Celtic family and women. Hail, hail. Dave Hislop says he was working tonight. James is also working in New York and can't make it, but he'll be. He was working on his birthday as well. Looking forward to getting another live soon, and make sure that you watch the replay. Plenty of games for Palma to contribute in, says Michael. Stephen Johnson says good evening. Big love heart to Stephen Johnston. Joseph says hail hail to Celtic fans around the globe, especially mentioning to Stephen Johnston. And then Kieran says hi everyone from sunny Donegal. Sunny Donegal? It's dark here now. So not getting dark for you yet. Stephen Johnson giving some people a thumbs up. Paul McEwen's in. Kieran's in the house says, Stephen Johnson, how are you this evening? And Davey Hislop asked Stephen also. And Michael Ross says, hail, hail to Stephen. Paul says, hail, hail to Stephen. And then Joseph Davison says, Palma can be a player, but has to really want it to play in this Celtic team. We'll discuss that in just a short time. It's great to be part of the Celtic family. It is that. And Paul Baird is in the house. He says, hail, hail to Stephen also. Desmond Donnelly's in the house. Even you, mate. How are you? And Tom Mack says, hail, hail. Paul Emery's in the house. Kieran's in the house. John Milne's in the house. Frank is in the house. Yo Baz and fellow Tims. Stephen McDonald's in the house. Who really cares? Says, hail, hail, everyone. And all the empty seats on TV looks awful. Let's dive straight into the nonsense one of the night, I suppose. St Johnstone put out a statement earlier this afternoon, sorry, and this is what the statement read. There was an open letter from Adam Webb regarding ticket arrangements for Celtic and Rangers matches at McDermott Park. Dear Saints fans, I want to take this opportunity to communicate directly with you about the important matter of match day attendance and our plans moving forward for matches against Celtic and the Sevco. Your unwavering support as part of our loyal fan base is the cornerstone of our success. Yeah, let's finish mid-table and make sure that we're all right. With that in mind, I want to emphasise your commitment to making McDermott Park a true fortress for our team. Said no one ever to the 500 fans that turn up on a weekly basis. And then most of them are under 20, particularly those when hosting Celtic or the Sevco. Historically, we have sometimes allocated the East Stand to visiting supporters and moved our supporters to the Jeff Brown Stand. We also allotted more seats than necessary in the Jeff Brown Stand to opposing fans. Under the new policies, it will be announced later this week, opposing fans will be limited to the Ormond and the North stands and one section of the Jeff Brown stand, which is legally required to accommodate disabled seating. For this initiative to be successful, there's the There's the good bit of this comment. It says, for this initiative to be successful, we need our dedicated fans to turn out in force. We understand that this requires a collective effort, and we are committed to making it as convenient as possible for you to attend. Oh my God, we're putting extra provisions and planning in place to enhance your match day experience, include improvements in accessibility and safe parking at the stadium and services. Finally, and, and after some unsavoury incidents, both home and away, we've reviewed our update on our terms and conditions, saying that the young team can't take pyro. We'll include all fans. We encourage all fans to familiarise themselves with these changes. We value your input and take. And we make sure that you take your decisions and reflect on your needs and concerns. Anyway, Adam Webb, owner and chairman. I look forward to seeing you in the stands for the September 28th game for Celtic. Oh, you gotta love it. I gotta love this game because when it is on the telly, and it is a late kick-off that game, isn't it? Where is the 28th of September? Yeah, it's a 7:45 kickoff, that one, right? There's no chance in hell, not a living chance in hell. 5:45 kickoff. They will not fill that stadium. I could put £10 bet on it just now that they will not fill their home allocation. There'll be massive empty seats. It'll be an absolute terrible eyesore again for Scottish football. It'll be. Are these clubs do themselves more money? Um, are these clubs in Scotland trying to kill the game off by sure that the next time that there's a TV deal comes around, that we just don't get the TV revenue. We don't get the TV revenue at all. And I think when you look at how bad it looks on telly for the Derby, the Glasgow Derby. The Edinburgh Derby is the only one with real atmosphere left. And that's not going to turn it on for anybody that's sitting thinking, I'm going to pump 10 million into Scottish football in 1 year. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to say, I'll give you 10 million for a year for the rights of Scottish football. Nobody in their right mind when they're going to go, right, let me see what the atmosphere is like on the telly. And there's only the Hibs and Hearts game that have any kind of atmosphere. Anyway, so be it. Let them struggle. That's what I say. Let them struggle and keep the money at Celtic Park, and make sure that they get limited fans also, and Celtic gets stronger. If they want continued Celtic domination, well, that's one way to go about it. And I'm all for that. I'm all for having as much domination as possible in the Scottish game. Anyway, that's enough of St Johnstone and their Diddy statement by Adam Webb, the chairman and owner of yeah. Enough said with that. Let's jump back into the comments and see what some people are saying about they will lose money. They will lose more money than game with this. Yep, they will. That says Paul. So the business model was created in North Force. Imagine imagine if we let more away fans in than ours. Yep. Baz Doghouse. What? You're in the doghouse, Stephen. What for? Um, Palmer's chances to pass and shoot. He fluffs it. We'll talk about him in a minute. So Michael says, "Don't get the hate Palma gets from some fans." I'm not hating on Palma at all. I mean, I've got the stats here in front of me. Lewis Palma scored 12 goals last season. He had 13 assists. He did have 8 yellow cards throughout the season, but you're not going to worry about that. He never got sent off once. But he had 13 assists. I think he needs to improve. But before we can talk about that, I want to talk about the officials for the weekend, because the officials have been confirmed for the Celtic Hearts game. Yes, it is time to start talking about Celtic again, even though it is only Tuesday. A couple of nights before the game this weekend. Massive game as far as Celtic are concerned. And as you can see by the league table here, Heart of Midlothian are in second bottom spot, and I want that to stay. I want us to do as much damage to Heart of Midlothian as possible and keep them in that spot right there. Keep them in right there, and just because they're not a nice club, and the yeah, Let's not even talk about them. But anyway, I want to keep them at the bottom, and I want to keep Kilmarnock at the bottom also. I think that would be a tremendous end to the season. Can you imagine Kilmarnock and Heart of Midlothian fighting it out at the bottom of the table? Oh, that would be like wet dream stuff, wouldn't it? Maybe not. But anyway, we move on from that ever so briefly because the officials have been confirmed for the Celtic Hearts game this weekend. Colin Stephen is the man in the middle on the whistle. And then he will be supported on the sidelines by Frank Connor and Callum Spence. And you'll never guess whose VAR, as always. As always, it wouldn't be Scottish football if there wasn't a Dallas in control. I think Dallas is the only full-time VAR official in Scotland. Surprise, surprise. He heads up the VAR with Graham Stewart will assist his colleague if any incidents need a second look. Of course, no incidents will get a second look. It's Scottish football and it's VAR in Scotland. They never get a second look. How did I just get rid of this again? I want to get rid of the emojis. There we go. That's done that. Hearts fans are as bad as Paul. Hearts fans are worse than the zombies. You know that. If Palma was Irish, Tim, he would maybe get cut some slack. I'm not. Let's talk about Palma just now because I said can Lewis Palma score more than 10 goals this season? Now the stats are from last season. He scored 12 goals last season, so I think giving him that head start of saying can he get 12, he wanted better. The fact is he scored 6 in the Premiership. He scored 2 in the UEFA Champions League. He scored 2 in the qualifiers. He scored 1 after the top 6 of the SPL. In the Scottish Cup, he scored 1 in the Scottish Cup also. And that he basically scored in every competition for us last season. So I don't see. I mean, I can understand that he's international boss. He's international boss who believes that the player should be getting more game time. And that's why I asked the question, can he score more than he did last season? When you look at the stats, the stats to per game ratio is actually quite good. The fact that he played 41 games for Celtic across all competitions. He played 24 times in the league. He played 5 Champions League games. He played in 4 UEFA qualifiers, Champions League. That can't be right. Oh no, that's the U8. Aye, no, that's the qualifiers for the fucking international. That's not right. Fucking website's fucked. And then anyway, he played 3 in the Scottish Cup and he played 1 in the Super League. There you go. Didn't know that. He played in the Super League last year for his national team. But his manager has been bemoaning the fact, he's been complaining that Lewis Palma needs more game time. The winger has struggled to nail down a permanent first team position at Celtic Park. The way that Celtic are going to are playing, if you look at the squad, right? If you look at the squad of players that do play up front, you've got Lewis Palma, who's number 7. You've got Kyogo, who's number 8. You've got Adam Ida, who's number 9. Now, Adam Ida's came in for some stick this week also, because he's never performed as what people thought he might have for Ireland. But then you've got Nico Kuhn, number 10. Number 13 is Yang. And I personally think that Lewis Palma is better than Yang. So there's where you go. And then number 38 is Dyson Maida. Now, when you look at obviously the 2 strikers, there's 2 strikers fighting it out for the 1 position in Kyogo. And then you've got 2 wingers fighting it out for each position, which I think is healthy. And it is healthy. And I think it's up to Lewis Palma to up his game more if he thinks that he should be getting more game time. He needs to do his talking on the pitch. And I think he will do his talking on the pitch. You can understand whilst a national manager does want to see their so-called star players, and he's come out and said, look, there's a lot of, because Lewis Palma is playing in the Champions League, there's a lot of pressure on him when it comes to his national team. And they think that he should be getting more game time. Although Lewis Palma has confessed that he struggled for consistency in his debut season, said the 24-year-old. He did enjoy a little good spell between Christmas and New Year. A lot of the players did. But the 3.5 million signing it might be a popular figure in his homeland, but there has been noises at Celtic Park saying that he's a bit of a disruptive player. And anyway, Rangers RIP. Right, let's move up, Mr. Livingston. How can Palmer score goals if he's not getting games? Frank, you tell me. He gets games. He gets brought on at the end. He gets brought on at the end like every other player. He's not going to get first team choice. So anyway, who knows? Do you know what I mean? He scored. Look at the goals that he scored last season, and he wasn't Frank. He wasn't first team choice last season. He did score 12 goals last season. So saying that he's going to score, I think he could score 10 or more this season, more than capable. The fact that he did score in the Champions League for us, and he scored six. And the thing is, when you look at it, he had 13 assists. He had 9 assists, and I think this is where he maybe lets himself down when it comes to league games, and that's why Brendan doesn't, because the assists is where it matters for the wingers. Let's just not beat about the bush with this one. The assist numbers is where it matters. He only had 9 assists in the Premier League. He had 2 in Europe, and he had 1 in the Scottish Cup. So he only had 13 assists. You'd expect his assists to be up there, but then Matt O'Reilly was kind of running the show last season. So let's hope that the wingers can up their game this season. Anyway, who really cares says, how do you know what he thinks? I have no idea. I'm going to jump through this. That 9 million price tag on either's head might become a milestone, says Dominic. They'll all get more game time shortly. They will do because there's a lot of games coming up. People are already writing off. Why are people already writing off Adam Ida? I think that's nuts. 4 games into the season and people are writing him off. Anyway, I did ask the question for the poll tonight. Can Lewis Palmer score more than 10 goals this season, considering he scored 12 goals last season? I think he'll score more than 10. And about 55% say yes, he can score more goals than 10. And 45% said no. And there has been 144 votes on. It is going to be quiet tonight because it's always quiet during international week, and there's still international games going on this evening. Either way, we find, yeah, I have no worries about Adam Ida. That's why I'm not even talking about him. People that are saying that he's not even part of the conversation tonight. Anyway, what is part of the? No, I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm going to miss that one out. Anyway, Rio Hatate. Rio Hatate is a player that has not played for Japan, even though he has been away. Now, with him and James Forrest in the same boat, should Celtic make a stance when players are getting travelled all over the world? Rio Hatate has he's been left out both fixtures and for his national team, which is a bit of a surprise because he was getting a game before Kyogo was even getting picked, but Rio Hatate has been left out, despite the manager calling him up for the World Cup qualifying games against China and Bahrain. What does it say about our players when they're getting left out? I mean, I think it's James Forrest, for one, is just needing to go and tell the manager to sling it, if you ask me. Let's say 4 games in, what is it with people? Give either time. And what he's all arguing about Adam Ida for? Rolling Friday for sunny Bulgaria, says John. Here I come. Big shout out to John. John, and I've left it through the other room. I'm going to get it put in a new. John is the one who donated the captain's armband with the one and only signature of the legend who is Neil Lennon. Neil Lennon had an absolutely amazing effect on this channel because it was the first ever video when he was made manager. I was one of the very few, one of about 80 people who stood on the steps of Celtic Park when Neil Lennon was made manager for the first time. So thank you for that, John. Once again, all the joy, all the joy. Roll on Friday, says Tam. Mac Desmond says he's a talented player. He obviously has to raise his game in training. If Brendan Rodgers sees him as a starter, he'll start him. I think the fact that we do have the competition on the wings, and now, I mean, Nico Kuhn is coming onto a game. Dyson, it's hard to replace him. So you've got two fantastic players that are pretty much first team choice. I mean, Yang, I don't think I don't. Yang is a there is a player in there, but he's a good second choice player. Is Lewis Palma a good first choice player? That's what he needs to be asking. But anyway, and I noticed some of the players that have went out on loan. Talking about the team, actually, let's run through the team because we haven't done this since before the transfer window closed. So in goals, we've got our number one. And the questions need to be asked. Scott Bain's that far down the pecking order now. He's not even going to get on the bench this season. So number one is obviously Kasper Schmeichel. Kasper Schmeichel has been the talk of the town today with his father saying that he can play well on over the next few years. Somebody actually said in the comment, think about this. Kasper Schmeichel is the exact same age as Wayne Rooney. I like the state of Wayne Rooney. There you go. And then you've got Sinisalo, our number 12. And he is one for the future. He is the future goalkeeper for Celtic. If we can keep hold of him long enough, I think. And then number 29, Scott Bain. Scott Bain's obviously still in the building because of his Scottish connection. Then it comes to the defenders. There's not a lot coming out of Celtic yet. There nothing will be until the end of the week when they are asked about number 2, Alistair Johnston. And then Greg Taylor is our number 3. Number 5 is Liam Scales. And then Austin Trusty is our number 6. It's going to be a massive month for Austin Trusty and Liam Scales because the two of them are going to be battling it out on the training pitch at Lennoxtown to see who becomes the partner for the one and only Cameron Carter-Vickers. And then you've got Alex Valley. Alex Valley is going to be battling it out with Greg Taylor. So there's going to be some interesting duels at Celtic Park, at Lennoxtown. It's not Celtic Park, to see who can catch the eye of Brendan Rodgers, because there's no way that as a young chap from Spain that comes from Barcelona is going to want to sit on the bench this whole season. He'll be wanting to come here and make sure that he can get into the squad for the Champions League. And with only one game to go before the Champions League starts, yes, only one game this weekend, and then the Champions League starts proper next week. Can Alex Valley push the one and only Greg Taylor out the way to get a game in the Champions League? We need to get an update on Mark Norobski, Big Rocky, to see how he is after he was not fit during pre-season. Early on in pre-season. And then number 20 is Cameron Carter-Vickers with Tony Ralston and Stephen Welsh, other defenders. We've actually got more defenders than any other positions on the park, which is interesting. When it goes to midfield, you've got young Luke McCowan, and then you've got Odin Ohm, who'll be fighting it out with Arnie Engels, the player that come in with a massive price tag. And he said that the Rangers manager said it was a fantastic move for you. Yep, Arnie, the Rangers manager gives you that thumb of approval. To say, yeah, you made a good choice. You made a good choice. Now Arnie's going to go and wipe the floor with them and then win the league with Celtic. Paulo Bernardo, it's a fantastic time for him. Also, he'll be expecting to not lose his place to Arnie Engels. He'll be looking to take over from where the one and only Matt O'Reilly, who's now injured, who's out for a good God knows how long. But he's in the past. He's one for the past. We could talk about him as a player, an ex-player. Maybe one day he'll come and do the gigs like every other modern sort of ex-player does. Anyway, Rio Hatate is number 41, Callum McGregor 42, and Jamesy Forrest. Jamesy Forrest, who gets picked for Scotland and doesn't play and then gets left out of the team altogether. I think Jamesy Forrest, for his own good, maybe that's a poll that we should have, since there's not a lot of people online. There's only 184. It's only 496 views so far, which isn't a lot, actually, for tonight. But anyway, we're at 169 votes. You can see where that one's going. We're going to end the poll, and we're going to do a new one. Um, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, that's wrong. Right, see what you think about this one. Should James Forrest hang up the international game? Should he hang up his boots for international game? Uh, for the better of his career. he's better of his career. Oh, 5% are saying no, 7% saying no. Wow, there you go. Even though that's going to be an interesting one. I'll let you argue that one out. Left with injury, mate. Right. Anyway, let's get back to the squad because the forwards. We've already spoke about the forwards. Number 7, Palma. Number 8, Kyogo. Adam Ida, number 9, and number 10 is Nico Kuhn. Yang is number 13, and then number 38 is the one and only Dyson, who are all going to battle it out for 3 positions up front. Now, this week's seen Matthew Anderson and Ben Summers head off out on loan. Another player that was in and around the squad even on the last day of the transfer, and I got my head bitten off for saying that he can't even be named in the squad. He's never going to be a Celtic player. Is big Dane Murray. Dane Murray has been now loaned out. He has been loaned out. The player that has had an abundance of injury issues over the last couple of seasons, but he's a young player that Celtic see as one for the future. He did return to Celtic during the first team, and he was in pre-season with the first team, and he went to Ayr United towards it, did he know, last season? No, he was in the team for against Ayr United. Anyway, Murray's now on loan at Queen's Park, according to the Celtic website, along with Johnny Kenny. When you look at the amount of players that are out on loan, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 players only out on loan this year, which means that we have reduced the size of the squad dramatically. When you look at the players, it's Kwon, who's went to Hibs. He's not going to come back to Celtic. And midfield player at Hibs, he'll end up getting sold to Hibs. Marco Tilio, I don't think we'll ever see Marco Tilio back in Scotland. Never mind coming back to Celtic. He is out on loan until the end of June next summer. Then you've got Gustav Lagerbielke. There was speculation that Celtic didn't actually want to sell Gustav Lagerbielke. That's why he was put out on loan. Alexandro Bernabe, there's another player that I don't think you'll see back at Celtic. He's been loaned out. He's actually only loaned out until December this year. So what will happen come the end of December? Will Bernabe come back to Celtic, or will he get sold or loaned out to another player, another team in South America? And then you've got young Toby, who is on loan to Dunfermline, which is good for Celtic because they want to keep an eye on that goalkeeper. I think he is definitely one for the future at Celtic. Will he be number 2 one day to Sinisalo? Will he be number 2 to Sinisalo one day? That would be interesting to see, but we always need a Scottish connection to a goalkeeper. But anyway, that is the team as it stands. Right, let's jump back into this question. Should James Forrest hang up his international boots? Should he hang up the international game, just like the one and only Jamesy Forrest has done? Callum McGregor has done. And I think when you think about the break that Callum will have had over the last week, and then just doing light bits in training, it can only benefit Jamesy Forrest, and that can only benefit Celtic. Clark is too negative and boring to play Forrest, yet he is that. Clark only picks English-based Scottish players. Yeah, well, everyone being wasted on the Scottish bench. God, see Steve Clark bashing. Steve Clark needs to leave. Yep. Better off with Arnold Clark. Oh my God. Needs the games. Who needs the games? Jamesy Forrest. He's not getting the games at international level. I watched Murray in the Young Sots game. He looked a bit off it, to be honest. The donkey bus. I think that the fact that he's been out injured so much over the last couple of years, that's why Celtic have put him out to get as much first team football as they can. Right. We're never going to keep this going for an hour tonight. There's no way. There's not enough people on anyway. I'm going to hang around for another couple of minutes, and then we'll get back into the swing out on Wednesday night. The fixtures this weekend are obviously Motherwell are away to Aberdeen. Celtic host Heart of Midlothian. Hibernian at home to St Johnstone. Ross County, Dundee, St Mirren, Kilmarnock. And then the big one. Can Dundee United stay Yes, that's right. Can Dundee United stay in third position in the league come the end of Sunday? Well, Motherwell might have had something to say for that. As may of Dundee and St Mirren, they might have jumped Dundee United by that time that they play on the Sunday. But I hope that Dundee United get at least a draw so that it keeps them up there, up and around third position. Because let's just hope that by the time that that game happens on Sunday, that the team in fourth may as well be down around sixth and seventh position, which would be absolutely fantastic. Anyway, let me just see if there's anything else kicking around. It's the worst thing about International Football Week. There's nothing much to talk about unless you want to talk about the Scotland game, and that is just never going to happen on this channel. Right, let me see. We've got 95 votes. Let me get to 100 votes. 204 people on the live currently, which is down massively from the 1,000 that we were getting on just a week ago. Just a week ago, yeah, we were getting about 1,000 people on the lives at this time of night. 97 votes. I need another 3 votes, and then we're going to shut the poll down. Should James Forrest hang up his international boots? And 85% says yes, and 15% says no. And we're not getting any more votes in. We'll just end the poll just like that then. Oh, it's a quiet night tonight, isn't it? Let's see what the poll says. And we managed to lose a percent as always. There was 99 votes completed. Talk about that in a minute, Stuart. So I did ask the question, James Forrest, should he hang up his boots in the international game? Should he hang up the international game? 84% of the fans on the live, and there wasn't that many, to be honest. 84% said yes, 15% said no, and Google takes 1% and hides them from themselves. So there you go. I think he should give up the national side. Terrible decisions by Clark. His words don't match his actions. He's a dinosaur, Jurassic Clark. I think when it came to the games during the summer, which James Forrest would have excelled in, and you've got to remember the forum that James Forrest was in towards the end of the season. It was a no-brainer bringing him on and playing him in those games. Anyway, we have been on for 31 minutes, so it's just a quick one tonight. There isn't a lot of fans on. I love United to take the points off the buns. Don't say it, but let's hope I'm wrong. Let's hope so too. Stop sulking, Baz. You big bairn. How am I sulking? I'm not sulking. I've got a sore throat. I'm still recovering for the weekend. And it's international break. So, I mean, there's hardly anybody online. Anyway, on that note, the good news is, where is it? It's there. It's there. Hearts are still second bottom. Kilmarnock are bottom. That means it's fantastic going back into the season. We are sitting on 18,834 subscribers. We will hit that 88 number this week. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening to all the Celtic fans all